I've seen a lot, and I mean a lot of movies this year. So many, in fact, that there was no possible way I could review every single one for y'all. I just didn't have time to do that. So I thought, why not I combine all the movies I haven't reviewed yet into one video? So that's when I got the idea of the mid-year movie review catch-up thing, 2025. The title needs work, but I'm going to be reviewing 9 movies for y'all that I did not get a chance to review this year into one video. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and enjoy this special episode as I review many movies for y'all. So let's go on with the first film of this episode.
Brother.
Bill.
The monkey that likes killing our family. It's back. It must be vanquished.
Why don't you vanquish it, huh, Bill?
Now, the first film I'm talking to y'all about is The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins and stars Theo James. Now, you might know Osgood Perkins as the guy who directed Longlegs, which personally, I did not like that much. That was my most disappointed movie of the year last year. I did not like that movie, at all. I was such a letdown. But when I heard that he was making a movie based off of a comedic horror novel by Stephen King, I was a little bit intrigued. And I'm happy to say that The Monkey is better than Longlegs. But is it really a great horror movie? Not really. The film is about 2 brothers, and they find a wind-up monkey toy that causes someone to die every time you wind it up. And after a few strange turns of events, the monkey has come back to haunt these 2 brothers 25 years later. The best way to describe this film is that it is 70% hilarious and 30% excruciatingly annoying. All the deaths are way over the top and hilarious, and they work so well in this movie. The comedic tones in this movie is absolutely perfectly executed. There are so many handful laugh out loud moments that had me almost in tears. I was laughing so hard. But this film is kind of like, that guy you knew in high school that was the class clown, but he tried a little bit too hard to be the class clown, and so he ended up being annoying instead of funny. That's this movie. It goes a bit too way over the top and way too annoying to the point where I was like, okay, you had me in the first half, but now you're just pissing me off. This movie's no longer funny or scary, it's just annoying. And the deaths are very creative in this film. Like a chain reaction that happens that causes somebody to explode in a pool, or a dude that gets attacked by a giant swarm of bees. There are so many unique deaths in this film that had me just shocked at how far they went with the blood, gore, and effects. Some of the effects look pretty cheap, but anything practical looks great. I was very surprised at how well this movie looks with its cinematography and visual effects for such a low-budget horror film. And the writing and dialogue is very over the top and witty, and that perfect sense of you can tell that the writer was really trying to make this the most over-the-top horror film that you can imagine, and it really does work here. Now, I didn't really love the movie. Like I said, it gets pretty annoying later on in the film, but I do think this is definitely worth seeing just to see it once, see some pretty unique deaths and some pretty comedic moments. I think this one is definitely worth a watch, which is why I'll give The Monkey the silver top hat.
There are some incredibly strange things happening. I gotta do something about this. But as long as we stick together, we'll be all right.
The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Can you believe that this film is actually the very first fully animated Looney Tunes theatrical film? Every other Looney Tunes movie has either had live-action characters or has not been fully animated. Can you believe that? Out of so many years, it finally took us this long to get a fully animated Looney Tunes movie. And I'm happy to say that this one is very entertaining, both for kids and adults who grew up with Looney Tunes like me. The film is about Daffy and Porky, and they are trying to get jobs to pay their rent because their rent is due. And after a few crazy hijinks, aliens come in and try to take over the world with gum. Yeah, that is the most Looney Tunes plot that you can think of, and it's so witty and charming, and I really did enjoy this film quite a bit. It was so cool to see a fully animated Looney Tunes film on the big screen, especially with the history that was going on with this film. If you didn't know, this is going to be one of the Looney Tunes films that was going to be put in a vault forever because of Warner Brothers. And I'm so happy that this was put into theaters for everybody to see instead of it being lost media, because Looney Tunes is such an important piece of animation history, and that should not be something that we just throw to the side. Looney Tunes is very important. And man, it was just so good to see a film on the big screen with these characters that I know and love. And the movie is filled to the brim with beautiful animation and wacky set pieces and action sequences that we all know and love in these animated shorts. Daffy and Porky are such a cool dynamic duo, and watching them just get into all these hijinks was absolutely hilarious. This film is super funny with so many great comedic moments that had me in my theater laughing out loud. Though my main complaint about the film is that there are too many really little kid jokes. Now I know it is a Looney Tunes movie, so it is meant for kids, but there are scenes with really weird put in place pop culture references like Daffy twerking or some social media references here and there like TikTok. Now I know that Looney Tunes has been doing pop culture references in the past, but personally I'm not a fan of modern pop culture, so anytime I see that I kind of just roll my eyes. That type of comedy isn't really my thing, unfortunately. And the movie has amazing voice acting as well, especially by Eric Bauza, who plays both Daffy and Porky. He loves these characters so much. You see how passionate he is online about Looney Tunes, and him playing these characters is absolutely on point. You would think you're listening to the original voice actor. That's how good he is playing these characters. The voice acting is super top-notch in this film. It was just so good to see a Looney Tunes movie on the big screen, reliving my childhood. Both adults and young kids are going to love this movie so much, and I'm happy to give this film a silver top hat. It's a great film with a few too much childish jokes for my liking, but I know that this film is going to have a huge following in the future.
Please, what do you want from me? I'll kill you if you hurt my son. They chose me for a reason.
Shot at tequila never kill anybody, right?
This movie's freaking stupid. Drop is directed by Christopher Landon and stars Megan Faye and Brennan Sklenner. And the movie is about two people going on a date with each other, where Megan Faye's character, Violet, gets mysterious text messages from an unknown number saying that she needs to kill her date or else her son is going to die. Now, that is kind of an interesting premise. I do like how the film is pretty much a bottle film where it takes place mainly inside this restaurant, and the chemistry between these two characters is pretty good to keep the plot engaging, but unfortunately the movie is ruined by some of the dumbest choices with its editing and the dumbest plot twist villain of the year. The movie is dragged down so hard with these choices. I mean, as soon as they introduce this one character into the movie, I'm like, oh, that guy's a red herring. There's no way they're gonna make that guy the twist villain. That'd be stupid. But they make him the twist villain, and I'm like, no, why? Out of all people in this movie you could have made the twist villain, you chose him? Out of all characters? Really? I mean, I was somewhat engaged by the mystery and plot of the film, but unfortunately that twist at the very end just broke it for me. I was like, no, come on, that is the laziest choice that you could use. And also the reason for this twist and why this person is wanting Violet to kill her date is just stupid. The movie is trying to be way smarter than I think it is. Like, why? Out of all choices, why did you do that? And there's honestly little to no tension in the movie. Any scene between Violet and her date is just okay, it's like they're having a nice fun date. And the film is interrupted by a buzzing of the phone, and it's supposed to be like, ooh, she got a new text message. Like, how mysterious and evil is this message gonna be? And it just ends up being monotonous and annoying, like hearing this buzz over and over and over and over again. It's like, imagine if you were just interrupted all day with constant buzzing and text messages and phone calls on your phone. And just imagine that through the entire movie. I got so annoyed just hearing buzz, 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 buzz through the entire movie. It got so bland and annoying. I mean, some of the suspense is okay and the chemistry between the two characters work well enough, but me personally, this movie I was not a huge fan of. It is shot well mostly, but the editing is absolutely atrocious with some of the worst editing I've seen this year. This movie was just not for me, which is why I'll give Drop the bronze top hat.
Here's the plan. Scouts are gonna lead us out, and I'm bringing up the rear. Inbound! Inbound! Find cover downstairs!
Warfare is directed by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland, and this is one of the better war films that I've seen lately. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of war films. I kind of find them too generic and over the top and way too America, but this one is actually pretty decent. The film is based on a true story where soldiers are hunkered down in this safe house as they're being shot over and over again by people that are trying to take them down. Now, the best part about this film is how gritty and real it is. I really do like how there's no scene in the film where it's like soldiers around a campfire or like in a building where it's like, oh yeah, my wife back home, or oh, my kids back home, I miss my wife. All that generic stuff you see in every single war film, there's none of that in here. It's just some soldiers hunkered down in this building trying to survive. And honestly, not every character gets their time to shine, which I really did like. It's like these feel like actual real people in the situation, not some fictitious version of their real selves. I do appreciate how this film went for a more realistic approach with its story and its actual real characters. And another great thing about this film is the sound design. If you've seen Alex Garland's previous film, Civil War, and how great the sound design was for that movie, it's no different here. The sound design is incredible. Hearing bullets just whiz by, it really does feel like you're in an actual war scene with these actual real soldiers. Like, you hear the explosions and the bullets flying by. Like, you feel like you just kind of like want to hunker down as you're watching the movie because of how intense it is with its realistic sound design. This is like A+ work here that might even be Oscar worthy with how great it is. And one of the directors, Ray Mendoza, was an actual real person during this situation. He was one of the soldiers here in this battlefield. So it adds a lot more heart to this film that he was someone that actually experienced this situation. What I can commend the director here is that he did not make him the main character. In fact, no one really is the main character in this movie. Everyone gets a little bit of a moment to shine, kind of. But again, like I said, there's no moment where these characters are a fictitious version of themselves. And another standout for the film are the performances, which are exceptionally well done. With the standout for me being Will Poulter. You really do feel all the tension and fear that these guys are going through being in this tough situation. And it's like you were experiencing this really tough time with these guys, which makes the film a lot more intense. This film is gritty, super intense, and very gruesome at times. I don't recommend watching this film if you are very squeamish, because there's a lot of blood and gore in this film. But I'm very happy that this film wasn't a America pro-war film. It was very much a film about how war sucks for both sides, whether it's the opposing force or defense. No matter what, war is just terrible, and I'm really glad that this film delved into that instead of being just a America #1 kind of movie, which is pretty unique for a war film, which is kind of like one of the main reasons why I don't like war films to begin with. But this one was definitely a unique take on this genre, and I found it very enjoyable, which is why I'm going to give Warframe the gold top hat.
They lowered my wife into the coffin.
You never considered cremation?
How dark are you willing to go?
They found something.
What is that?
The Shroud is directed by David Cronenberg and stars Vincent Cassel and Diane Kruger. Now, this was actually the film that made me want to make this recap video for y'all because I really did want to talk about this film. And I tried. I really tried to like this film, but I just could not, for the life of me, vibe with it. I know a lot of people like this movie, but for me, this was one of the most insufferable movies of the year. I did not like this film at all. I know a lot of people really do like this film, and I like my artsy films. I like my weird and out there artsy movies, but this one was just not my thing. The film is about Karsh, played by Vincent Cassel, and he's grieving over the recent passing of his dead wife. And in order for him to feel closer to his wife, he creates an invention that allows you to look inside someone's casket whenever they're in the ground by looking at their tombstone. So, okay, weird, unique premise, very Cronenberg-esque. So, where do the flaws start to come in for this film? Well, there are quite a few. The main issue with the film is that it really does not know what it wants to be about. You think it's going to be about grief, but that's kind of like only for the first 20 minutes or so. The rest of the film is about the dangers of AI, Chinese government spies, and why adultery might be a good thing, according to this director. Like, the film really does not have a clear focus on what it wants to be at all. And the movie is like 2 hours long of just all these different subplots going back and forth, that are just completely dissonant from the actual main plot of the film. The film has zero weight to it because there are just a billion subplots blended together with no substance whatsoever. And there are just so many different points here and there where the film just loses all of its focus. Like, there are points in the film where it's about a twist villain because someone is vandalizing all these tombstones of Karsh's invention, and it turns out that it might be an AI program that is involved with it. Like, what? What? Like, I mean, this film isn't bonkers in an entertaining way, it's bonkers in an annoying way. The film drags so long, and I was just bored throughout wondering, okay, what's the main plot of the film? Where is this going? What is this leading to? And by the time the film was like actually getting somewhere, I'm like, okay, so now we're getting to the actual meat and potatoes of the film. It's over. Like, it literally just has a plane fly off into the sunset, like, okay, bye, movie's over. I'm like, no, wait, you were just getting to the plot there, like you were actually having a point. But no, the movie just ends right at the point where I was actually getting a little bit invested with the characters. Like, oh my goodness. And I know a lot of people are liking this film, but for me, I'm just like, I'm appalled. Like, I was just trying to find the point of anything in this film, but I just couldn't. Like, I was just lost throughout the entire thing. And not because the film is confusing, it's because I think the film just doesn't know what it wants to be. And oh my god, the performances are some of the worst that I have seen this year. Now, one performance stood out to me as a good one. All of them are just completely monotone and flat with every single piece of line delivery, which makes the film so much more insufferable and boring because not one character is engaging at all. In fact, Vincent Cassel is trying to do a Elon Musk impression, and it kind of works because he's trying to act all suave and cool, but he ends up being really creepy. So it is like the real Elon Musk, but again, his performance is just boring and flat throughout the entire film. Not one performance had just any amount of character to it. In fact, all the performances here I could compare to what you would see in a Neil Breen film. It's just that bad.
Where are you? Where are you?
And speaking of Elon Musk, there are a ton, and I mean a ton, of Tesla product placements in this film. For a film that's supposed to be about anti-AI and the dangers of technology, there's a ton of Tesla product placement in here to the point where it seemed borderline parody. Like, there are points where Karsh is driving his car and he's like, don't worry, I'll never crash his car thanks to my Tesla autopilot. And this looks directly at the camera when he says it. Like, it's just that on the nose and that bad of a product placement to where it does seem like it's a parody. It's that bad. And what really grinds my gears about this film is not one female character has any amount of personality whatsoever. Every single female character in this film is used as a sex object to fall in love with Karsh. Every single one of them is just a sex symbol in this film. Not one female character has any amount of personality, any amount of character development, any amount of just anything. There's nothing with the female characters in this film to where it would just make me feel gross watching this movie. Like, not one female character had any redeeming qualities to them because of how bad they're written into this film. Every single female character, and I mean every single one, sleeps with Karsh in this film. And it just made me feel gross watching it. Like, not one female character had any amount of personality. They were just there to sleep with Karsh and fall in love with Karsh. That's it. Like, that's... why? For a film that's supposed to be about, you know, grieving over your wife and everything, why is it that every female character is just a sex symbol? Why? Like, 90% of the film, every single female character is just naked. Even the dead wife in this film, who haunts Karsh sometimes, is just fully nude. Now look, I don't mind sex in movies, like, I don't care about that. But I care when you write your female characters as only sex symbols. Like, that pisses me off because that's not how you write female characters. And that makes me hate this film even more. And speaking of other gross things, this film uses the subplot of adultery as like a character development win for Karsh? Like, what? Like, throughout the whole film, it's like him grieving over his dead wife. But then he's like, to make me feel better, I'm gonna sleep with my best friend's wife. And the film makes it seem like that's a good thing. Like, what? What is this film supposed to be about? Is it about anti-AI? Is it about how, like, you should be grieving over your dead wife? Is it how you should be sleeping with your best friend's wife? Like, what is this film about? Like, I'm just appalled by this film. Like, there's not one redeeming quality about it. Like, I don't know if I just missed something about this film, but for me, this film was just absolutely just disgusting and gross and just all over the place. Like, I did not understand one good reason to like this film at all. Like, this is one of the worst films I have seen this year. Now, there is one reason why I'm not going to give this film my lowest rating, and that is because David Cronenberg made this film as like a message of him grieving over his recently dead wife. Now, I guess there's something about this film that I must have missed, because this film is very important to David Cronenberg because it is like a love letter to his wife, but I guess it's just a completely different meaning of this film that I completely missed. That's why I'm not going to give it my lowest rating, because this film is so important to David Cronenberg, and I can appreciate whenever directors make a film for themselves, but that doesn't mean I have to like the film. I'm happy that David Cronenberg made the film that he wanted to make, but for me, this was just not the film that I was expecting it to be in all the worst ways, which is why I'm going to give The Shrouds the trash top hat.
Is this my new sister and brother, Oliver? Oliver lost his family just like you guys. Listen, I gotta tell you a secret.
Okay, on to a better film that's actually about grief. Bring Her Back is directed by the Philippo brothers, who are the same guys that made Talk to Me, which I adored, by the way. And it stars Sally Hawkins, Billy Barrett, and Sora Wong. After the recent passing of their dad, two foster siblings are adopted by their new foster mom, Laura, played by Sally Hawkins. And she actually already has a son who seems to be a little bit off. And in fact, there's an even more sinister reason as to why Laura has adopted these two kids. As the film goes on, things get crazier and crazier, and it just becomes one of the most bizarre horror films you'll see this year. So this film revolves entirely around grief, especially with Sally Hawkins' character Laura, because she's grieving over the passing of her daughter who died in a drowning accident. And you think at first that's why she's adopting these two new kids, is to help grieve and cope over the passing. Well, that's what the film makes you think at first, but she's actually using these kids as a means to use a satanic ritual to bring her dead daughter back from the dead. Yeah, this film gets crazy in all kinds of places. Like, you are not ready for how weird this film gets. Now, I'll start off by saying I don't think this film is better than Talk to Me, but I still think this is a really damn good horror film with great cinematography, great scares, and some amazing practical effects with its blood and gore. I was not expecting how gory this film was going to be, but there are some scenes where I had to literally flinch and like cling onto my seat. It was that bad. Now, because of this film, I can't have cantaloupe without thinking about this movie. For those who have seen this film, know why. I just love how deep this story goes with its themes and messages about grief. I love how this film shows how far someone is willing to go just to see someone that they've lost one last time. This film is deep and emotional with its themes, and I just applaud this film for how great it is with its story. I mean, sure, it is a horror film first, but it's actually a really beautiful character piece about grief and how people deal with the loss of loved ones. And all the performances are amazing, especially by Sally Hawkins. This is one of her best performances in years. I loved her performance so much. She just has so much weight and just despair with her character, and it actually leaves you feeling bad for her about how she's grieving over her passing daughter, even if her motives are very sinister. That's how you know you've written a good character, when you feel bad for her even though you know her means are not justified. And the performances by the two siblings are great too. Billy Barrett does a good job playing the older brother trying to protect his younger sister, and also trying to figure out the mystery of Laura and what's going on with her. He does a good job of trying to be the one that's trying to hold the whole family together, because it's just him and his sister. he's dealing with grief and the loss of his dad. He's trying to like going through all this stress and tough times, just trying to take care of his sister now. He's going through a really tough time, and you just feel all the weight and emotion of his character. Billy Bear does a good job with his performance, and his character is just so gut-wrenching at times. Just him just trying to like piece all these mysteries together, and you're just rooting for him, trying to escape out of his tough situation. By the end of the film, you're just feeling just dread because of like how much weight and suffering he went through in this film. And Sora Wong does a good job too. This is actually her very first performance in any film ever. It's actually been a really good year for first-time performances in horror films. I just now realized that. And with her character, she's actually blind. So they do a lot of cool things with her character by having POV shots of her moving through the house with this blurry filter on, so that way you kind of see what she's seeing because she's blind. And her character has really great moments too, just trying to, grieve over the loss of her dad and also being accepting of this new family that she's in. So she's going through a really tough time as well. And I have to applaud these directors for actually hiring somebody that is blind to play this character. I love seeing that kind of representation where you hire somebody that is actually going through that same disability as the character. It makes him a lot more realistic, and it makes the film have a lot more weight and emotion with this character. Now, I do have one complaint about the film, is that it is a bit clunky with its story. There are a few pacing issues here and there, and I do think there were some issues with the film explaining how the satanic ritual worked. Now, I'm not really a fan of when a film just fully explains everything, but I feel like there need to be a little bit more explanation because I was kind of lost about how this whole thing worked with using Laura's son and then the twins and then like this corpse of the daughter. There were a few things here and there that just didn't really make enough sense to me. But other than that, I don't have many complaints about the film. I thought this was an exceptionally well done horror film. It has great scares, great practical effects, a great story, great characters. I probably won't be watching it anytime soon because it is pretty heavy with its gore and its messages and themes, to where I might watch it maybe later down the line. It's definitely not a horror film I'll be watching every single year. Now, I do think this film is very well done, and I'm happy to give it a gold top hat.
Howdy. Howdy.
Might be nice to have a pal, a bud.
You should be dead, you psycho! Who are you?
What the fuck was this? Friendship is directed by Andrew Day Young, stars Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd. Now, this might be the hardest film I'll have to talk about in this video because I still have no idea what this film was about. Like, even after a month after seeing it, I have no idea what the heck I witnessed watching this film. The movie's about Craig, played by Tim Robinson, and he really wants to be friends with his new neighbor, played by Paul Rudd. But eventually his neighbor's like, hey, Craig, you're kind of weird. I don't want to be friends with you. Is that okay? And apparently to Craig, it's not okay because Craig goes through a pretty much rabbit hole of depression and sadness because he just really wants this friend. And then you get into all these different really weird hijinks. This film is just absolutely chaotic in all the best ways. This is easily the funniest film that I have seen this year. But at the same time, it might be the craziest and most bizarre film I've seen this decade. I really don't have any words to describe what this film is about. It's just all these crazy different events that happen in Craig's life because he just really wants to be friends with his neighbor. And just all these bizarre shenanigans happen. You really have to see this film to witness how crazy it gets. I kind of just want to not talk anything about this film because I want you to go in as blind as possible watching one of the best comedies you will ever see. If you love Tim Robinson's show on Netflix or his sketches, you are going to adore this film with its comedy and its characters and its just absolute wackiness. I mean, this film has one of the funniest scenes in any comedy I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm laughing about it just thinking about it. It's that funny. It's one of the funniest moments I have ever seen. My theater was either absolutely silent because of how bizarre the film was, or they were just laughing like hyenas for how funny the movie gets. This is just absolutely a comedy you need to go in completely blind while watching. You will thank me later. It is just one of the best films of the year. And what's crazy about this film is it has a really deep theme and message. There's kind of a theme about male loneliness, and how men deal with like depression and anxiety and just sadness. Like, this film has really deep themes while at the same time being absolutely insane. Alright, I know I'm being completely vague about this film and I apologize that I'm not really reviewing it. I'm just talking about how weird it is. But trust me, you will thank me later that you should go in completely blind on this film. I'm gonna give Friendship easily the diamond top hat, one of the funniest films I've seen in a very long time. And in the end, all I know is I could really go for a Subway sandwich.
Corda Land and Sea Phoenician Infrastructure Scheme. My most important project of my lifetime. Help yourself to a hand grenade.
You're very kind.
The Venetian Scheme is directed by Wes Anderson, and like all of his other films, this one has an all-star cast of people like Mia Threppleton, Benicio del Toro, and Michael Cera. Now, I've been a little bit tired of the Wes Anderson shtick lately. I haven't really enjoyed his recent films, but this one I thoroughly enjoyed. Benicio del Toro plays a wealthy businessman, Jaja Corda, and has appointed his only daughter, Liels, played by Mia Threppleton, to his estate. And the two are on the run from scheming tycoons and crazy assassins as they try to scheme off wealthy companies. I'm very happy to say that this is one of Wes Anderson's best films that he's made in a very long time. It's funny, it's charming, it's got a lot of heart and passion put into it. It looks great like all of his other films. Watching this journey of these guys go on this huge adventure just trying to scheme off all of these different people while escaping assassins and going through all these wacky locations is just a joy to watch. Now, I was very surprised by how deep this film goes about its themes of religion. Now, I'm not a religious person by any means, but watching this journey of this dad who's trying to reconnect with his daughter who he hasn't seen in a while, and his daughter's a nun and trying to teach him the ways of God, and they're having this bond between each other with their different antics. The dynamic between these two characters is very interesting, and all the performances are perfect in this film. Benicio del Toro playing this wealthy businessman who's trying to reconnect with his daughter, and he has no idea what his daughter's been up to for years. So he's like, "What have you been up to? You like sports? You like money?" Watching him trying to be this reconnecting father figure is hilarious, and at the very same time, charming. And Mia Threppleton's very dry delivery with every single one of her lines is great too, because she's this very straightforward nun who doesn't want anything to do with what her father's been doing. And how has it taken this long to get Michael freaking Cera into one of Wes Anderson's films? Of course he's gonna be perfect in this film. He fits like a glove in the Wes Anderson style. He's so good in this film, playing a kooky guy that just loves to talk about bugs all day. And there's one unique thing with this character that's revealed later on that's just absolutely hilarious. He's honestly the highlight of the film. I can't believe it's taken this long to get Michael Cera into one of Wes Anderson's films, and he is just a perfect fit for this type of story. And just like all of Wes Anderson's other films, all the cameo performances are great too, with the highlight being Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston, who both play these loudmouth businessmen that are great at basketball. They have the best moment in the entire movie. They are great. And other people like Benedict Cumberbatch playing Jaja's brother, he is hilarious in the film as well. And there's one scene with him that just made me laugh out loud so freaking hard. All the cast in this movie is absolutely perfect. This might be in my top 5 Wes Anderson cast group ever. Everyone does a perfect job in this film. Now, when I first saw this film, it really didn't stick with me, and I was gonna give this film a silver top hat. But the more I think about this film and its characters, the story, the way it looks, all the hilarious moments, this film is definitely one that stuck with me more than his other films, which is why I'm happy to give The Venetian Scheme the gold top hat.
But if you have heart, you have hope. And you have heart in you.
And here we are with the last film of the video, Life of Chuck, directed by Mike Flanagan and stars Tom Hiddleston. Now, this film gave me a roller coaster of emotions. It made me feel like I was just high on life, while at the same time making me feel like I was going through a midlife crisis. This film was great. The film is about Chuck and his extraordinary life and shows about how much of an impact he has on all those that he meets. Now, this film is pretty unique with the way it's structured. It starts with a final act first and then works backwards. So in the beginning of the film, you kind of have no idea what's going on, but after you see the first act of the film, your mind just opens up to everything you've just watched and everything just connects beautifully. This film is based on the short story by Stephen King, which I haven't read yet, but after seeing this film, I just want to pick up the story and read it all the way through, because this was such a beautiful story about living your best life, making every day count, live your dreams and aspirations, don't let anyone else get in the way of those dreams. This was such the perfect film for me to watch, because I have a ton of dreams and aspirations that I would hope to accomplish one day, and this film was just the energy boost that I needed. Like, this was such a beautiful film to watch. But the film has pretty deep themes of how you don't have enough time really to live every dream that you want to. So live the dreams that you want to live before your time runs out, because time can just fall short on you and your life is cut off too short. This film has so many beautiful themes, while at the same time being realistic and saying, hey, you don't have all the time in the world, so live now. Go out there and do the things you want to do. Go explore. If you want to travel, go travel. If you want to try and make it out into the big leagues in sports, go and try and do that. If you want to be a dancer, give it a shot. This film has so many great themes of just trying to live your best life, trying to do the things you want to do, and it was such a beautiful film to experience. In this film, in such a mature way, it talks about regrets too, about how people every day live with the regrets of not living your dreams and not accomplishing the things you wanted to do. I'm very happy that this film delved in so many different aspects of people trying to live their dream. The part about having not enough time, wanting to just succeed in life, wanting to do all these different things in the realistic way of knowing that there are obstacles in the way. And man, this film just executes all those themes absolutely perfectly. This is such a beautiful film to watch. If you were a theater kid, you are going to love this film. That's one of my biggest regrets. I know it sounds stupid that I didn't do theater in high school. That's one of my biggest regrets. I wish I did that just so I can say that I did it. But man, if you're a theater kid, you are going to adore this film, because there are so many aspects of theater and how theater brings out the best in everybody, and how theater can bring out, the fun side of you that you didn't know but you had. This film has so many cool themes of just all that fun stuff with, theater and drama and dancing and all that fun stuff. And man, it just made me happy watching this film. I was such a giddy person watching this film from beginning to end. And by the end, I had a few tears coming down. I was like, man, this film is really relatable. It's going through all these different themes and aspects of things that I'm going through in life. And man, it just touched me in my heart in all the right ways. And another reason, if you're a theater kid, why you'll like this film is that there is an incredible dance sequence in this film that just had me just jamming in my seat throughout the entire time, with an amazing drum solo and an amazing dance sequence. Like, Act 2 of this film was just pure electric joy. Just watching Tom Hiddleston dance throughout the entire act, it was just so cool to watch. One of the best parts of the film. I absolutely loved it. I feel like a lot of people are going to really resonate with this film, especially with them relating to the character of Chuck. I feel like a lot of people are going to see themselves in this character. I know I did. This film just really touched me in ways that I was not expecting. It was just a beautiful film to watch. It would just make me feel joyful and at the same time motivated, and also just nervous about the realities of accomplishing dreams. I know I have dreams and aspirations I want to accomplish. This was just the film that I really needed to see, and I just loved it. Now, I don't think the film is perfect. I feel like the last act of the film really does drag a bit. It is a little bit long, and some of the kid acting in the film isn't the best, but it is such a whimsical and joyous film that I'm so happy I got to see, and I'm happy to give Life of Chuck the Diamond Top Hat. One of the best of the year. I absolutely loved it. And there we are. I'm now fully caught up on all the films that I have seen this year that I have not reviewed for you guys yet. Guys, it is just so much fun just to stand here and talk about movies for you guys. Just to stand here, just all fancy. It's just so much fun to do. I hope there was one film on this list that you'll now go out and see because I brought it up. And man, it's just so much fun to do this. I know this film was going to be a bit weird with its pacing because I didn't really delve too deep into any of the movies. I just talked about what I liked and disliked about them, but hopefully there was one film on this list that you will now go out and see because I talked about it. And man, God, it's been such a good first half of the year, guys. The first half of 2025 for movies has been a stellar year. We've already had 2 holy top hats this year, and I cannot wait to see what the latter half of 2025 brings. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic night. And as always, stay fancy.